This time in the talk category session I will discuss about have UFOs been around since ancient times. If in my previous discussion we discussed about UFOs that were allegedly made in Germany during the Second World War, then this time one will discuss UFO sightings in the period after the Second World War, especially in the United States. There are two of the most famous UFO sightings, namely the Roswell incident and also the testimony of Betty and Barney Hill, which later inspired their story of American Horror Story, Asylum. Related. There is also a third, more bizarre story, namely UFO sightings in ancient Europe, even long before airplanes were invented. Does this prove that aliens have been visiting us since ancient times? Roswell's diary No UFO incident is more famous than the Roswell incident in 1947. At that time residents of the small town of Roswell in the state of New Mexico in the United States admitted that a plane had fallen from the sky in their area. The sightings occurred almost simultaneously with reports of Kenneth Arnold who saw UFO sightings while flying his plane. This incident began when in July 1947, a local resident named William Mack Brazel saw mysterious debris on his ranch located about 50 kilometers outside the city of Roswell. The man then contacted his closest neighbor, a rancher couple named Loretta and Floyd Proctor, who advised Mack to report the problem as soon as possible to the authorities. Incidentally, in the city of Roswell itself there is an Air Force military headquarters. On July 6, Mack, following the advice, reported the discovery to Roswell Sheriff George Wilcox, who then contacted an intelligence officer named Major Jesse Marcel of the U.S. Air Force. The major then intervened with other members of the military, where Mack then took them to the wreckage of the plane found on his farm. The U.S. Air Force then collected and transported the debris to their air base at Roswell. On July 8, the Air Force issued a very shocking statement that the debris they found was that of a UFO that crashed in the city of Roswell. The horrendous news immediately shocked the public. But strangely enough, just a day later, namely on July 9, an Air Force officer named General Ramey retracted the statement they made earlier and stated that the debris they found did not come from a flying saucer, but only from a weather balloon. Hot air balloons are often used for weather research by being flown into the upper atmosphere. He even showed them what appeared to be pieces of aluminum foil, rubber and wood that clearly looked like parts of a hot air balloon. Because of this quite logical explanation, the news about Roswell died out and the excitement disappeared. But Roswell's popularity rose again after 30 years later, where in 1978, a UFO researcher named Stanton Friedman again interviewed Jesse Marcel, who you remember was the first military to find the debris. Jesse has an important role because it was he who delivered the mysterious debris to the U.S. Air Force headquarters and saw with his own eyes the pieces. He later admitted that General Ramey had told him to shut up and assured him that what he had found was nothing more than a weather observation balloon. The book concluded that what crashed in Roswell at that time was not just a hot air balloon, but actually an alien UFO sent to observe the United States nuclear weapons, because coincidentally the area where the plane crashed was close to the United States military headquarters. They both note Jesse's confession that what he found could not be made on Earth. He testified that what he found were materials that had superhuman powers and were clearly unrelated to hot air balloons. Both authors admitted to interviewing not only Jesse but also 90 eyewitnesses who claimed to have seen the Roswell incident. One of the most controversial is the confession of Grady Barney Barnett. Barney is an engineer tasked with evaluating and identifying the debris found at Roswell. But his most controversial confession was when he claimed not only to be debris found at Roswell at the time, but also to an alien corpse found not far from there, before being taken and confiscated by the U.S. Air Force. Barney said he met a nurse who told him she had just helped the doctor autopsy the alien corpse. However, many also doubt this testimony. The reason is, the story about the alien autopsy is not the first and is similar to the hoax that had circulated in the Aztec City, New Mexico. At that time a journalist named Frank Scully said that a UFO crashed in the area and left an alien body which was then autopsied by the United States government. However, it was later proven that Frank's testimony was just a ruse to promote his book, behind the flying saucers. But there may also be truth behind the testimony of the discovery of the alien corpse, but certainly not as the conspiracy theorists hoped. Because in the 1950s, when the Roswell incident occurred, the US government launched Project Mogul, which involved balloons containing a test dummy or human-shaped doll. If one of the dolls falls when the balloon falls from space, it can lead to the misconception that it is an alien corpse. Claims about the discovery of an alien corpse were later obscured when a video purported to be an alien autopsy at Roswell went viral in 1995 and caused a sensation. But then the director himself, namely Ray Santilli, in 2006 admitted that the video was actually his own film and not the original video. But he added that it was a film, it was a reconstruction of the original video he saw, but now it's gone. Is the incident that occurred in the city of Roswell really a UFO that crashed and left an alien corpse which was then secretly autopsied by the United States government? What is clear, whatever the truth, this case has captivated the public imagination. Even in 2012, when visiting the city of Roswell, President Barack Obama joked by saying, "I came peacefully like an alien who came to Earth." So, let's move on to another case. Maybe you still remember the early scene of one of the seasons of American Horror Story entitled Asylum, where Evan Peters plays a man who is admitted to a mental hospital because he admits that his wife has been kidnapped by aliens. But maybe you don't think this plot is inspired by a true story. The Barney and Betty Hill case. Barney and Betty Hill are an American couple who claimed to be abducted by aliens on September 19 to 20, 1961. This case is unique because it is the first alien abduction case in history. Barney and Betty live in the town of Portsmouth in the state of New Hampshire. They are an interracial couple. The existence of interracial couples in the 60s was not common, and was often underestimated because it was considered to violate the norms prevailing at that time. On September 19, 1961, at around 10:30 p.m., they were on their way home from a vacation in Niagara Falls. When they arrived south of Lancaster, they saw a very bright light in the sky. At first Betty thought she was watching a shooting star, but the direction really didn't make any sense. Because the stars are moving up. Soon the couple was able to see what was really bright in the sky, namely a giant UFO plane descending toward the couple's car. Even Barney saw a mysterious figure peeking out of the spaceship window. The couple tried to escape, but they then experienced a very strange sensation and immediately fell unconscious. When they suddenly woke up, they were already about 56 kilometers from where they were. Surprisingly, they had absolutely no recollection of ever going that far. They don't remember anything about what happened during the trip. When they got home, they still felt very strange. Even their watches that suddenly stop can never be used again. Betty also noticed that her shirt was torn in several places, though she couldn't remember why it was torn like that. Not only that, she also found a strange powder on the dress. The strange thing that they also observed from their car was that if they brought the compass closer to their car, the compass would spin out of control. Then if you move it away, the compass will work as usual again. The Barney and Betty couple also noticed something odd. Because from where they go to the house it takes about 4 hours. But when they got home, 7 hours had passed since they left. That means there are about 3 hours missing from their memories. Betty thought about calling a United States Air Force base to report their experience. But she cancelled her intention because she did not want to be seen as a stranger. 2 months later, Betty started having strange dreams. In her dream she remembers that she and Barney were trapped in the car. They were then surrounded by a strange light where they suddenly entered the spaceship. There they were escorted, then separated. The strange figure who abducted her was only about 1.5 meters tall, similar to a human, but had jet black eyes and gray skin. They then sat her on a chair and examined her. They cut her nails and hair and took a small sample of skin from her. They also tested her reflex system like a doctor and inserted a needle into his navel, which caused her a lot of pain. Betty then asked to meet their leader and then asked her to be brought home. She also asked where they came from. When asked, The leader then drew a map containing the stars. Disturbed by this strange dream, Betty and Barney finally confessed to the authorities. An investigation was conducted and the military suggested that they both be hypnotized. They believe, under hypnosis, they are telling the truth. On January 4, 1964, they finally agreed to be hypnotized by a psychiatrist named Benjamin Simon from the city of Boston. In every hypnosis session, the two partners are always separated so that the results are more valid. Under hypnosis, Barney reported the same thing his wife had told him. He felt his body being pulled into a saucer-shaped spaceship where he saw 6 figures similar to what Betty had described. They were then separated and he was taken to a room and placed on a table similar to an examination table. During the examination he could sense that someone was counting his spine. They even took a sample of Barney's reproductive fluid. Betty was hypnotized and the story was still the same as she had dreamed. But now the difference is, through hypnosis, Betty is able to remember the details of the map shown by the UFO leader. She then drew a map where there were 12 stars connected by lines and the other 3 forming a triangle. She said, she was told the line was the route the aliens took. However, the result of the hypnosis session was only the conclusion that their testimony was just a fantasy. Feeling that the residents' testimonies have now been refuted, the couple returned to their respective homes and lived life as usual. Unlike others who usually claim to be abducted by aliens to gain popularity, this couple has absolutely no intention of contacting the press, so it's possible that their story is honest. Another development occurred 2 years later when a schoolteacher named Marjorie Fish from Ohio read the book and became interested in finding the location of the stars on a map. He then studied various star maps and finally found a match. According to him, the map that Betty drew was the Zeta Reticuli constellation system. This certainly raises the question, if their testimony is wrong, how can they depict star maps of other galactic systems with such accuracy? But the schoolteacher's theory was rejected by the eminent astronomer Carl Sagan, who argued that the map was just a coincidence. Not only that, in the 90s a European satellite called Hipparcos measured the distance between stars closer and found that under the map the constellation Zeta Reticuli was not the same as the map provided by Betty. But there is still the possibility that the map Bet drew depicts another star map, perhaps one that is not yet known to mankind. Not only that, in 1990 an article entitled Entirely Unpredisposed written by Martin Kottmeyer, revealed another surprising fact. Martin argues that Barney's experience is very similar to the episode of the science fiction television show The Outer Limits entitled The Bellerose Shield, which aired about 2 weeks before Barney's hypnosis session. The episode featured an alien creature with large eyes that was almost similar to what Barney described in the session. So, what really happened to Betty and Barney if they weren't abducted by aliens? Psychiatrists argue that what they experienced was actually a reaction to their trauma as an interracial couple. Being a couple of different races made them often experience discrimination from society at that time. The prolonged trauma then translates into their subconscious into a scene of abduction by aliens. But that doesn't mean Barney and Betty are lying on purpose, but their subconscious consciousness creates false memories that they believe to be something that really happened, even if it's just their imagination. Can their thoughts make their watches stop moving or make their compasses keep turning endlessly? What about Betty's shirt that was torn in several places? Was it all just a ruse? What about 3 hours of lost memory where they drive quite far without even remembering how they got there? Did something that common sense couldn't explain really happen that night? The testimony of 2 people, especially a husband and wife with cultural trauma, can easily be rejected. But what about the testimonies of thousands of people in ancient Europe who claim to have seen UFOs, even recorded in history? UFO sighting case in Nuremberg, Germany. UFO sightings were only experienced in modern times, but have been recorded since the 16th century in Europe. This horrendous sighting recorded in history occurred in the city of Nuremberg, Germany on April 14, 1561. At that time, thousands of townspeople saw a strange apparition in their sky. The strange objects are black and red and are triangular, round, cylindrical, and other strange shapes that move irregularly, according to their vision. In fact, the objects were fighting over each other, one of which was also reported to have fallen and made a very loud explosion sound. Of course, according to the understanding of the logic of the European population at that time, they considered this event not a foreign act, but a sign from God. The first person to attribute these ancient sightings to UFOs was Carl Jung, who in 1958 published the book Flying Saucers, a modern myth of things seen in the skies. However, it was not only spaceships that were considered visible in the sky at that time, but also arrow-like shapes that were considered to be weapons that flew from the planes. Did ancient Europeans witness the battle between aliens and predators at that time? What is clear, UFO itself is not something foreign to ancient European society. In the years 27 to 28 July and August 7, 1566, the same sighting was also seen over the sky of Bay City, then many UFO sightings in paintings from ancient Europe. Does this mean aliens have been visiting us for hundreds or even thousands of years? I don't know, but since 2020, the US military has not denied the existence of UFOs by showing videos of mysterious objects captured by their military aircraft cameras. Will the truth be revealed soon?